I moved into my new apartment 10 days ago, having secured a job that made the cross-country move worthwhile. I'm in a new city where I don't know a single soul. I'm fresh here, and things are already getting strange. I need to know if I'm losing my mind. This has to be some kind of messed up prank, right? I feel like I'm teetering on the edge of sanity. My new apartment complex is definitely high-end. It's more upscale than anything I'm used to, but I've grown to like it. The place is gated, with a guard stationed at the entrance 24/7. The streets, parking areas, and sidewalks are always bright and well lit. There's a community center with a gym and a clubhouse that offers a range of amenities. There's even a spacious dog park that my 2-year-old lab mix, Chance, has already fallen in love with. The dogs here are surprisingly well-mannered too. Everything should feel safe and reassuring. So why do I feel like I'm spiraling into paranoia? I've had a few run-ins with another tenant, and each one has been more unsettling than the last. On my second night here, I took Chance for a walk around the complex. He's only content after sniffing and marking every tree and post, so I was giving him time to do his thing. Most people we passed were preoccupied, headphones in, phones glued to their ears, families chattering as they strolled, but there was one person who stood out, an older woman, wiry and disheveled. I felt her stare long before our paths crossed. From about 30 meters away, I sensed her eyes fixated on me. When I met her gaze, it caught me off guard. I looked back down at Chance, trying to shake it off. Her eyes were wide, bloodshot, and refused to blink. It would have almost been comical, with her eyebrows arched so high they wrinkled her forehead, and her eyes stretched wide open, if it weren't so unnerving. She walked straight towards me, her pace erratic, like she couldn't decide on a rhythm, almost as if she was drunk. As we passed each other, Chance trotted over to greet her, but she ignored him completely, her stare never wavering from me. It was as if my 75-pound, tail-wagging, drooling dog wasn't even there. She kept walking, shaking her head ever so slightly, her bloodshot eyes filled with an unsettling intensity that screamed for moisture. When she was right beside me, she whispered, "Get out!" in a breathy, strained voice, like every word was an effort. I pulled Chance closer and kept moving, pretending I hadn't heard or seen anything strange. That was the first time, but things have only gotten worse since then. On the 5th night, I was in bed, reading by the light of my bedside lamp. Chance was curled up at my feet, snoring softly. I was lost in my book when I noticed the sudden silence, the kind that makes your skin prickle. Chance had stopped snoring. I glanced up and saw him staring at the bedroom door, his head cocked and ears pricked. He let out a low, suspicious huff, as if debating whether to bark. Then, with the usual uncoordinated thump of a Labrador, he jumped down and trotted out of the room. The next thing I knew, he was barking wildly at the front door. Alarmed, I rushed out after him. The thought of real danger didn't even occur to me. This place felt too safe. When I reached the door, I noticed Chance was clawing at it, oblivious to the note that had been slipped underneath. I picked it up and unfolded it, feeling my pulse quicken. "Get out. He is coming for you." I almost laughed. It was so cliché, the mix of capital and lowercase letters, the attempt at horror. I'd read about it a dozen times in books, but never thought I'd see it in real life. I chose to ignore the brownish streaks smeared across the paper, which looked disturbingly like dried blood. I crumpled it and tossed it in the trash, then went back to bed, trying to shake off the unease. If it had only been those 2 incidents, I might have brushed them off. I'm not one to jump to supernatural conclusions, but tonight's events have shaken me. About an hour ago, at around 2 a.m., Chance repeated his routine. He jumped off the bed, waking me, and bolted to the front door. Half asleep, I stumbled after him, expecting another spooky note, but there was nothing. Chance scratched furiously at the door, barking his head off. Without thinking, still foggy-brained, I opened the door. Standing there was the same wiry woman from my first night, but this time, she looked truly deranged. Her clothes were soaking wet, clinging to her skeletal frame like rags on a scarecrow. Something thick and dark matted her hair. Mud, maybe. Cuts lined her arms, neck, and face, some of them still oozing. Her voice, I still can't fully process it, sounded like 2 voices speaking at once. One was high-pitched, almost too high to hear, and the other was a deep rumble, yet both were raspy and strained, as if she'd been screaming non-stop. "He is coming for you," she rasped. I stared, my brain still catching up. My first thought was of the security guard at the entrance. Surely this complex was secure. As if reading my mind, she added, "Get out, before it's too late and they don't let you leave. He is coming for you." Instinct took over, and I slammed the door shut. Chance kept barking for a few more minutes before deciding the threat was gone. He trotted back to bed, leaving me standing there, numb. Now I've been sitting here, staring at the floor, unable to do anything except write this down. I'm crazy for feeling afraid, right? It's just one disturbed woman playing tricks on me, or so I hope. I don't know what to think anymore.